Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to start our page with a gel print. So we are going to do a gel print jump start. I'm working in my DIY art journal that was made from a playbill from a theater production. I have put gel prints in here and napkins to break the page, and I'm just flipping through this. And here's the page that I am going to start with. This is a gel print that I created using a placemat actually from the dollar store. Now, because my gel plate is 8 by 10 and this page is 8.5 by 11, I end up with this white border, and you might have the same problem. Easy peasy solution. Just color it out. We know basically what colors are there, and I'm going to paint the borders a mixture of those colors. So I'm pulling the purple, the teal, aqua, some Prussian blue I'm mixing in there, as well as white gesso should I need it. I'm not trying to match it exactly, but I know that I'm going to, this is just the first layer. The gel print is the first layer. I am going to push back some of this. I'm going to do some stamping or stenciling or layering on top of it, so it doesn't have to be precise. Now you see me, I'm putting the plastic cutting board from the dollar store in between the pages to keep me from getting paint on the either finished pages or not yet finished pages of this book. FYI, if you hit the I in the top right hand corner, I will link to the video where I create this DIY mini journal. So if you're looking for a cheap alternative to art journals, look no further than your recycle bin. Now when you look at this gel print, you could say, oh, there are flowers here, and I could have just used that as the background as is without any additional stamping or stenciling. But try to look beyond that. I just want the colors, maybe some of that texture. This is simply the first layer. So I'm breaking it up. I'm putting some Prussian blue over top of it. You could put some gesso in it to knock back more of it or less of it. But I was thinking flowers, and that motif was, again, because of the placemat that I used in the creation of the gel print. And who doesn't love purple, teal, and blue? Now I decided I want to use this Encircled stencil. It's a new one to me, and I put it through its paces, just stenciling through it to see what they're like. And this one, you have 9 different mark makers, all kind of in a circular theme. And so I just want to add some marks to the background using either black or white, or the darkest, the Prussian blue. So look at these luscious marks, and I mean, for your money, this stencil has 9 different ones on it, so you're getting a lot of variety, and I will link that in the description box below. As always, when I'm stenciling, I use a makeup sponge and I tap off or pat off on my glass surface to make sure that there isn't an excess amount of paint on it, because that tends to seep into the stencil and it may give you a look that you don't particularly like. So here I just really wanted to use this stencil on a page. Oh, don't you love that, those wavy patterns? I'll definitely be using that pattern again. Now here you're getting the circle, the edge of the circle, but you could just use the internal parts. People often ask, do you know where this is going? Do you have a focal point picked out? And sometimes I do. In this case, I did not. I just wanted to create. I've been on holidays. I'm back in the studio. I just want to put some paint down. Now look at this one. Don't you just love this part of the stencil? Oh, lovely. Like a starburst. And you can see as I'm stenciling on, the patterns that were on that gel print get pushed back. But you still see them. They still make their presence known and they add to the overall page. Now this is a TCW, the Crafter's Workshop stencil, and they come in this 12 by 12 size, but they also come in a 6 by 6, and you're going to see me pull out the 6 by 6 stencil in a minute. I like to use sometimes the same stencil in two different sizes. It builds in that cohesion with that very little effort on our part. So here I'm grabbing Prussian blue, and I'm going to use that sunburst one that I liked, but I'm going to put a smaller, darker version of it. And as you can see, sometimes I'm stenciling over top of previous stenciling. And I think that's the success to layering stencils. And because I have Prussian blue on my makeup sponge, I'm just going to edge it with the darkest color. I do come back and edge it with black, and I'm not sure if that's on the video, but I do. FYI, that other page, the rose page that you just got a little sneak peek, I have a video for it, and I will link that as well in case you want to go and check that one out. I'm thoroughly enjoying working in this DIY art journal. And it's so much fun. It's also faster because you already have that first layer down. Every page has been broken. So I decided to use this gnome. I had pulled this gnome for another page and ended up not using it. So I decided to do that, and it's a stamp that I got from Ninny's Napkins. And there's a link to the store, Ninny's Napkins store, in the description box below. And if she doesn't have this exact gnome, I know she had many different ones, so I'm sure you can find something. Now those little puffs, they look like dandelions or onion blossoms, so I decided to give them stems. And it looks like this gnome is hanging out under the flowers in the garden. Now, because I did not decide what I was doing, I didn't necessarily position those in the perfect spot. So here I'm going to add one, because based on my composition. Now, if I had one in a place where I didn't need it, I could do a wash of the teal, the blue, and just knock it back. Or you put your gnome right on top of it. So here I'm adding the stems. kind of a whimsical kind of garden feeling. Do I want the gnome here? I didn't want to put the gnome right on the center fold because that presents problems in its own, but that's exactly where he needed to be. So if I was doing this from scratch and I knew I was putting the gnome there, I would have tweaked the positioning a little bit. But this isn't about perfection. This is about just having fun. So here I'm gluing the gnome down, and at this point I'm thinking I might just leave him black and white. He stands out, it goes with the white in the background. I might just do that. That's why I didn't color it first. If you know you want to color it, you could paint it before you glue it down. Still unsure if I wanted to paint it. I thought I'm going to shade around it, make it pop from the background a little bit, and then I'll decide if I want to paint him or not. If you're short on time for creating, making a book like this or spending time and breaking the pages by decoupaging down a napkin or a gel print is a great way to jumpstart the creative process. This one in real time only took about 35 minutes from start to finish. I've sped it up minimally for the video, but it was a quick easy. Here is where I'm shading using black to edge the page. Now in this art journal I'm using the double spread, but you could make two separate pages that would be similar but different. And maybe one of the next pages, that's what I'll do to showcase how to do that. So I decided that I am going to paint the gnome, and I made a decision to use the same colors that are in the background. You don't have to. I like the look where it's all kind of matched together, but I could have gone with contrast. So I could have been painting these pink and introducing other colors to the gnome that weren't in the background. It's simply what you like. At this point I was simply going to paint the flowers and be done with it, but I do end up painting the entire gnome. This stamp is also a fairly good size, which I like. So many stamps are on the smaller scale, but this one's good. I mean, it fits this 8.5 by 11 spread perfectly. Now I'm painting out his beard. I'm painting it white, and I'll be coming back in with some gray and black layer just to add some shading. And here I'm using the same teal that I had in the background and alternating with the purple. Now I'm using acrylic paint to paint this out, but you could use your markers, whatever you have. whatever's easiest. So now I'm shading a little bit, and I'm using the Prussian blue and going over those stripes just to add some more dimension. Definitely, if you aren't comfortable with that, you can skip that step, but I find just adding that little bit of dark for shading or for highlighting really bumps it up. So it's a skill I recommend you practice. That's the only way we're going to get better. And I'm painting his nose a little pink, giving it a little shading. And I do shade it with a darker pink later on. I'm not sure if that was on camera. Sometimes when I'm in the throes of creating, I forget to make sure that the camera is actually on. And here I'm just adding so it looks like a beard, looks like hair. If you like gnomes, you may want to check out my gnome book, full digital lesson printables that I have for sale at NinnysNapkins. Decided to add some leaves to my whimsical flowers. Then I decided I needed more stenciling, so I used this rows with lines and lines of rows of lines, stencil, rows of lines. I'll link that in the description box. This is another good basic one. I just wanted to add more interest to the background now that I had my composition decided. Now this comes from my Oh Gnome You Didn't sentiment pack, which is also available at NinnysNapkins. This comes included with the Gnome book, so if you buy the Gnome book, don't buy the sentiment pack, you already get it. I'm bubble cutting this one that says, "Create no matter what," because it's good for us. It uses a different part of our brain. Deciding which one I want, and then I'm putting this one over here. Just seems to work better in my composition. And gluing it down with fluid matte medium. And because everything underneath is permanent, it's all acrylic paint, I don't have to worry about anything reactivating. Now as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking I could do better. So I'm going to add some splatters. Which add another fine layer. Then I decide I want to add some dimension. So I grab the pearl modeling paste that's shimmery from the Crafter's Workshop. Now they have the white pearl stencil butter, which replaced this. and I'm putting that through. This gives dimension like modeling paste, but you also get that iridescence. And I think that both were a great addition to the page. I do the third one on the bottom, but I let the top ones dry just so I don't smudge them. And here is the finished page, a whimsical gnome land. So you know what, guys? Go out, create, no matter what. Use something out of the recycling bin. Practice, have fun, enjoy. Until next time, let's get creative.